Hello and welcome. I'm getting ready to start D-Day at Tarawa. I have a whole bunch of other games in my queue, but since we just did Omaha Beach, I figured it was best to start this right away because the rules are very similar to Omaha Beach. I mean, obviously they're different. It's going to be a very different game play-wise, but in terms of some of the mechanics and some of those things, it's easiest to just transition right into this. So as you can see, I have the rule book in front of me and I'm still reading it and getting a grasp of it, but I figured I would start my obligatory setup video, and that's all you're going to get from me tonight. It'll be another day or two before you'll see me actually do gameplay, but for those of you that are interested in just gameplay, go to video 2, which does not yet exist, but it probably will at some point. Okay, so when you take the game apart and you get your components, let's go through them real quick. You're going to have some smoke counters. Those will be used as you play, probably from events. These are disrupted. They're Japanese disrupted counters, and then you have American disrupted counters over there, and then we have these artillery destroyed, and then we have some hero counters, and then we have some U.S. support / garrison counters. Just set all those aside. Also, you're going to have some HQ command post and range, some action taken tokens, some naval gunfire, and a no LVT command. Set those aside. If you've played Omaha Beach before, some of this is going to look familiar. If you haven't, no worries. All the ones with the green back, they're meant to represent units that have, so for example, this is an infantry unit from the 8th, I think it's 2nd Division, 8th Group or Corps, or whatever. But the important part is that it has 4 pips here. That's its strength. It also has a strength value of 7 when it's doing an attack and a range of 2. So this little 1 here means it's going to start on turn 1, meaning it comes into the game on turn 1. And R3 represents that it's going to come in this R3 zone. There's a R3B, A, and C. Okay? So these are, after it takes damage, it would go to 3 pips. And then if it were to take damage a second time, you would grab one of these, because these have 2 pips and then eventually 1 pip. And so, for example, this one here is E28. So there's that's a 6, 2, here we go, E28. That would be the replacement for this one, should this guy take enough damage. Okay, so just set those aside. You're also going to see some that say D+2. Don't even use those. Those are an optional variant in the back of the rulebook. And it looks like a neat optional variant, but if it's your first game, like it is for me, definitely don't add those in. So just set all those aside. As for setting it up, you're going to have some LVT markers. You just set those there with the 2 pip side up. There's units that start on turn 1. And so you can only stack 2 at a time on each of these starting spots. So for example, these ones say R3. So I have 4 of them. And so I was able to put a stack of 2 on these, or I could, if I choose, I could even put one over there and have it set up like that. But it just has to be on the R3. So my logic right now, without finishing the rulebook, is just like Omaha Beach. I found that concentrating my units, it was a stronger approach than trying to spread out across the beach. I could be wrong, but that's where I'm at there. And then there's a similar thing with R2, and then another one with R1. So now the other thing is on R1, you actually get this hero, Ryan. He has this little hex symbol on him. He actually starts the game, so you just pick one of your units and assign it to Ryan there. So one of your heroes units will already have a hero, but it has to be one of the units in R1. The rest of your US units, you're going to set up here, and they all have turn numbers on them. So you can see turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, And this is the turn order track. The reason my chips are on here is my board doesn't want to lay flat. So I just got the heavy chips on to keep it flat for now. Moving on, when you're doing setup, you're going to have a lot of Japanese markers. Some of them will say have a C on them. See that big C right there? Some of them will have a C on them and some of them won't. Like this one won't. So first thing you're going to want to do is separate them into those two piles. The ones with the C and the ones that don't have a C. Okay, so then the ones with the C are going to start, 100% of them are going to be on the board at the start. And so what you do is you go around and everywhere that you see an artillery symbol, which is this little dot, this with the square around it, or everywhere you see that C, you put one. And so you can see there's a whole bunch of them on the board. And you'll use 100% of them. So if you have one in your hand and you're like, hey, how come I have one left over? You're going to be just like me and it'll be like you've just missed something. So just go over the board a second time. And trust me, they're all there. Just some of them aren't easy to find. And like this one is a coastal one or an artillery one, but it's on that part of the coast. I was initially expecting them to only be on the side we're attacking from, but it makes sense that there's one on the other side. It's not like the Japanese knew which way we were coming. Okay, so with that being said, the other ones that you have that don't have a C on them, just set aside 4 of them and put them into the reserve box. And then the rest that you have left are also going on the board, and they go on wherever you see this little I symbol. But there's one thing I should have explained first. There are 3 armor tokens, and you're going to want to sort them like this, face down. Okay, don't look at them yet. And then what you do is, like, I get to see it now, but I'll explain that in a second. So what you do is you draw a card from the deck, and see how we have purple, blue, and green. So you take those 3 armor, and you can see I have 1 armor on purple, 1 armor on green, and 1 armor on blue. Those are the 3 colors I drew. You'll also notice that this one is an armor for red, but I didn't draw red. So it also has that little I, so that's where these go. So these are going to go everywhere that an armor did not go, okay? And then your armor, there's going to be these armor depth tokens. Shuffle those, there's only 3, and give each armor a depth. And you're allowed to flip over the armor, by the way, and see what it is. And then every armor gets a disruption token. So put a disruption token on each one. Okay, so that should be your setup for the board. That's how the Japanese are in play. The most important things are make sure your armor's put out. I would put that one out first. Get your coastal ones out, and then put your eyes down last. And then, like I said, you should have 4 leftover eyes. For the actions, there's an I action that's supposed to be here where it says I. And then the rest of these actions you're going to shuffle and just put them on randomly, like so. Okay, and then you're going to have these inland depth markers. Just put them here in this box, and then the coastal depth go there. You don't put any of those in the game at the start of the game. None of those are in. And then Admiral Shibasaki, he's in command, so put him there over his picture and denote that he's in command. The big thing that is player choice is here, how you want to set up your units. I already like this compared to Omaha Beach because there's some variability already in the start of the game, whereas Omaha Beach didn't have that variability. So I don't know enough to play. All I can tell you is that's how you set up. And I already explained how the pip system works for those of you who've never played Omaha Beach. It's very important to know that these little arrows represent that, like, someone here is going to land on the beach that way. So that's where he's going to try to land. I know that these are little spots where your landing craft can crash. So it's possible that he'll go to here and then the soldier will have to walk the rest of the way wading through the ocean. I can tell you that these little colored squares are fire zones. So, for example, this is a yellow zone, and that's a green zone. And normally, as you can see, there's intense fire. That's what these little solid red, solid yellow circles are. Those are intense fire that this group, because see how they're linked? They're one group of units in two different spaces. And so they can shoot in all these places, and these are their intense fire zones. And then here is a little softer. Those are steady fire, meaning it's not quite as heavy. And I think it's because you're underneath a pier here. And so you're sort of at an off angle. They can't, reach you. But here you can see they can fire out over the sea. And so that's what these yellow means. That means that they can shoot all the way out to here. And then there's some crazy spots like this. So you can see with the colors that inside of this green zone, it's yellow and green when you're here. But when you get inside of this blue zone, then it becomes yellow, green, and blue. And then over here, it gets crazy. There's 5 different overlaps. So that's like a death zone right there. And then yellow goes all the way out. Hence the reason once green ends, there's just yellow left. So yellow can go all the way out into the sea as far as the board goes. And, what does that mean? Game-wise, all I can tell you is that's where they can shoot. So if we can take out yellow here, then this zone would all of a sudden be free of enemy fire. And maybe that'll mean something for us. That's part of what the rules are. I still have to get a handle of. But in a nutshell, that's it. What are the goals of the game? Things of that nature. I still need to brush up on it. I'm sure we have to go in and take certain spots on this island. There are 3 game modes. There's turns 1 through 10, which is considered the basic game. Then it goes to, I think, turn 14 or 15, and then it goes all the way up to turn 30. And so, or no, I'm sorry, 1 to 10 is, I think, the introductory game. 1 through 15 is the basic game, and then going up to 30 would be the advanced game. And so there are, it's really cool. There's like ways to score victory points at each of those milestones, and I'm going to shoot for doing the full game. But the good news is you only have to read the rules for the steps that you're currently doing. So you just have to read the basic game rules to get through the first 15 turns, for example. There's nothing about the extended game, that goes up to turn 30 that's going to change the way you play the first 14 turns. So it's a really cool system that allows you to get your feet wet with the rules. With Omaha Beach, I know I struggled with that, and it was a lot. But I'm feeling that after reading this rule book, the little bit I read, that because I struggled through Omaha Beach, this one is not going to be as hard to as far as understanding the rules. But there's just so much to remember. I think that's the challenge here. Someone suggested that I go on Board Game Geek and get there's a playbook you can download. I haven't done that yet, but I did take a quick look, and it does look very interesting and very helpful. So that might be something you would want to do as well. I'm also aware there is a video. Somebody did attempt to play this game, and I did not watch it yet. I mean, it looks very decent, and I do recommend that. I can tell you he's played the game way more than I have. So I'm diving in head first, and we'll see how it goes. So anyways, thanks for watching. Stay awesome and all that jazz. I'm going to read some rules. It's very late at night. I guarantee you there's no gameplay going on this evening. And then the question is whether I can do it in the next couple days. That's the $1,000,000 question. So anyways, this annoying thing called life always gets in the way of your board game playing. So anyways, thanks for watching. Stay awesome. This is what's next. And I have a giant queue of games I would like to do. And the hardest part is being disciplined enough to just sit down and play one. So, all right. Very good. We'll see you in video 2.